I'm Delphine, I'm the producer of The End of Love. Here is the scriptwriter Elise.
And also her sister.
Yeah. And here is Keren, the director. She's Israeli. And we work together since 12 years. And because we met at La Venice, the French cinema school in Paris. Yes.
This is also in the school where I met my DP and husband, I don't know to which order, and that's it was the beginning of a very beautiful period, as Delphine likes to say.
The beginning of love.
So it was the beginning of love, but also the beginning of complications, because we are from two different backgrounds, two different countries, two languages, cultures. Now that we also have two kids, it is complicated, and this is actually really in the core of this film. The End of Love is about a couple that's struggling to find a mutual space. They are forced to be between two countries, and we follow them only through Skype video calls.
Julie is French, and Yuval is Israeli, and they have a baby, Ella. Usually they live together in Paris, but when the film starts, Yuval is in Tel Aviv, and for a bureaucratic issue, he stuck there for a period which becomes longer and longer.
And they only communicate by these video calls, so there is no external camera. We are immersed in their intimacy through these calls. Julie is, I'd say, quite a French character. She's very strong, very seductive. But you feel that beneath her lightness, she has a crack. It seemed like, in what moment will her craziness explode? Yuval is much more down to earth. He's rooted in a very warm, almost over-caring Israeli family. But he has this deep need to cut the umbilical cord with his family and with his country. Well, it's Israel, you can understand he has a problem with it. And the Skype is supposed to connect them, right? It's a tool to bring them together. But actually, the more they use it, the more we feel they are apart. Like this scene in the film where their daughter, Ella, tries to feed her father with a biscuit through the screen. Impossible, right? I call it the wall of separation.
Time passes, and in Tel Aviv, Yuval starts to find himself with his friend, his family, and everything he is lacking in Paris. And in the meantime, Julie feels more and more anxious, alone with her baby, with her job, and with the deep concern that Yuval is drifting away.
In one moment, Julie realizes that Yuval is lying for a few days and that he already has his French visa, which was the bureaucratic complication. She gets mad, of course, and in one of their fights, their most violent fight towards the end of the film, she does something that is unimaginable for a mother. She just leaves the place, leaving their one-year-old child, Ella, alone in front of her father in Israel, on the screen. Can the relationship survive this moment?
In this moment, the film goes back years before, maybe proposing an answer by showing their hopes, their dreams, when they first fell in love.
Yes, and this is the only, actually it's a break in the film because we're not in the video calls anymore. We are in real cinematic, classic ways of filming, and it's a very sensual sequence. And the film ends on this tone, full of hope and desire, but actually we know that their love story doesn't. I think what excites me the most about this project is that its form, which is very rigid, also gives me a very big liberty. I can enter their intimacy, but I can also interrupt it with the people from outside, with sounds, with this feeling of sunny exteriors of Israel, and on the other hand, the universe of Julie in France that becomes more and more close and cold. I want to use this form to really speak about what is in the core of the film for me, which is space. It is actually the question of how can we find a mutual space between two people. Maybe a good example for it is the first sequence of the film, where you see them, you don't know we're on a video call, and you see them making love. They start taking off their clothes, saying sweet words to each other, heating up each other, seducting, touching. And then in one moment, someone touches the screen and you realize that they were actually on a video call, and they're actually, each one is touching himself.
Keren is very strong for uniting form and content in refreshing and new images. And she always speaks about very intimate subjects that touch everybody, but always with an unexpected mise en scène. That's what she did with her other films, the shorts we did together, and her first feature film, Virgins. This film won in Tribeca Film Festival and Jerusalem Film Festival. It released in France this summer, and it will be in theater in Israel this winter. And I feel that in this project, at the end of London, we go a step further. We're moving to a very, it will be a film with a very unique visual experience.